So, well, I felt like trying to fix something, so I have something interesting to do. But, well, all of my computers and all the other retro stuff I own is working perfectly fine. So I searched a bit on the internet and found this. An Amiga 500 Plus. Now, it actually also came in its original packaging. It hasn't been used very often. The owner said he had it maybe used for 1 or 2 years. That was it, and not very often during that time, because then later he switched over to a PC. Quite sad, actually. Now, I'm really happy I finally have got one of the original boxes. Even has got the serial number on here, if you're interested in that. And yeah, I had no idea what the Amiga boxes look like, but yeah. It also came with a joystick. This is a Competition Pro joystick. It's quite hard to find the name on this one for some reason, but I've already found it. It says it's somewhere on the front. Ah, there it is on the back. It's barely visible. And it has got, you barely move this and you can hear the clicking and everything. So that's a pretty good joystick. Maybe a little bit of an upgrade to my previous one, which is a joystick from Computec, which has got the suction cups on the bottom and 2 switches, and you just use it with the entire hand. This thing you can just hold in your hand, and if you're really good, you actually be able to use the joystick with just one hand. I've got also the power supply for it. Luckily this time it is a 4.5 amps power supply, the lighter one, because the other Amiga which I scored had got the old 2.5 amps power supply, and that was, well, not that great, but it was definitely one of the early ones. Yeah, I also got the mouse one, which I've now got up to 4. So, well, let's take away the box and have a look at the unit itself. Oops. So, there we have it, the Commodore Amiga 500 Plus. Now, the reason why I got this is, well, this is the Amiga which has got some problems. Well, at least in the 500 series. Or at least all Amigas that are this style, where you have the computer and the built-in keyboard and the built-in floppy drive, of course. Now, the main issue being with that is that Commodore put a battery onto the motherboard. And these batteries tend to leak if they get old. So, yeah, I wanted to do some repairing. Found this machine cheap online. I have no idea if it actually works. Well, the seller told me it works, but yeah, you can't just say anything. Well, for a guy who already threw all his Amiga equipment away, saying that it works, yeah, well, maybe worked 20 years ago, the last time he used it. But, yeah. It's not hooked up, as you can see. It's just laying here where I would have my Amiga normally hooked up to the display. So, yeah. Now, here I have got the Amiga on my workbench, pun intended, of course. And, yeah, as you can see, it's the Plus model. It's a bit yellowish, but otherwise it looks to be in pretty good shape. Now, one thing, why I also feel pretty bad about actually opening this thing up and checking if the battery is okay, check out the seal. It's never been opened. The seal is still okay. There is no cut, it's not damaged or anything. Even the other seal on the back looks to be good still. So yeah, unfortunately I have to break the seals to open the Amiga, which is quite sad. But since if the battery leaks, well, or if it already has leaked, I'm definitely sure that there is already some damage in this machine, but I want to do a small modification. Actually, I wanted to do that on my Amiga 2000. I wanted to take a Super-Capacitor instead of the battery, put that on there, and well, yeah, I mean, the Super-Capacitor will be able to store the power for 1 to 3 days, which is not a lot. But since I use the Amigas quite often, and I would like to make this one my primary Amiga, which is currently just my 500. Yeah, wouldn't matter. I would still have everything battery backed up. So yeah, even still got the floppy drive. No idea if this machine works at all, but I'm not gonna power it up. If anything has caused some damage, I'm pretty sure something could short down there when the battery is just here. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't mention is, already checked, there is no expansion memory in this. Quite sad actually. But yeah, well, the Amiga itself has got 1 megabyte of memory. I think that will be fine. One day we'll buy the expansion, and I will have the 2 megabytes of RAM in this thing. That feels awesome to just open an Amiga that has never been opened before. And well, this is a real surprise even for me. Look at the battery. It's fine. It's just starting to leak. You can see a very, very thin crust on there, and a tiny bit has actually gone on the board. But yeah, that's nothing you really need to worry about. I mean, I've just got to clean up that chip there. That's of course the real-time clock module, and get the battery out. But chances are that it looks worse on the other side, which I don't hope. But yeah, otherwise it's really very nice. There we can see 512K or 1 megabyte. Of course, all the RAM chips are inserted, so we have got 1 megabyte of RAM, and we can add another 1 megabyte here, so we have 2 megabytes in total. Or we can go even more extreme and add a accelerator card which goes onto the processor, which will give the Amiga 8 megabytes of RAM more. Or we could use an SA500 which plugs into here where the hard disk drive would go, and that will give it 2 more megabytes of RAM, and you can use any Amiga 12000 turbo card on there, and that is pretty cool, and especially on this machine. And of course we have a Kickstart, I believe it's 2.0 chip in here, so not the 1.3 anymore. But I'm really surprised how good this looks. That's not a big damage at all, that's just starting. I'll just get my multimeter and check if the battery actually still has got power, which I don't really believe, but just testing. Oh, that's interesting, it still has got power. Using a crappy analog multimeter right now because I can't find my real multimeter. Check this out, we have got almost half a volt still on that battery. Of course this one will be removed, and I will add a Super-Capacitor instead of the battery. So you can see it's slightly bulging. So let's get the board out and see if there is more damage, which I really don't hope. And this is what the board looks flipped over like. And another surprise, there is no leakage on the bottom side, which is great. So, already warming up the soldering iron. So I'll get that thing out, clean up the board, and everything should be fine. Doesn't seem that anything else is wrong here. Of course I will resocket all the chips, and yeah. This Amiga is in really nice condition. There is where the battery should be. There is the battery. And now I just have to clean up the area around it, because it's just a very small damage on it. I have seen damages much worse than this. Damage I had in my Amiga 2000 was a lot worse than this. But yeah, this will go in the trash, and this will be fixed. Okay, so I've cleaned up the area as good as I can. Luckily this is just the real-time clock chip, so if it actually has got some damage, or if it really broke, it's not that bad, since you don't really need it to run an Amiga, and the Amiga will just run fine without it. And this here is the Super-Capacitor, which I'm going to use. There we go, it's a 5.5 volts, 1 farad Super-Capacitor. And it will just be soldered in there. It fits just fine in there. And I've plugged the Amiga in and powered it on. Of course, I still don't know if it's actually really working. It's been powered on right now. Now it's switched off. I get about 4 volts on here, something around 3.8, 3.9. It should be a little bit lower, actually, because these batteries normally tend to go from 3.6 to 3.7 volts. The one in my Amiga 2000 was at 3.71. But yeah, no, that should just work fine with the Super-Capacitor, and yeah, now I'll just solder that thing in there. Disconnect the power from the Amiga, and then hook it up to my CRT display and see if this thing works. Okay, so the mod is complete, the Super-Capacitor is installed. It was pretty easy to solder that in because the pin pitch of the battery and the Super-Capacitor is exactly the same. Of course you can adjust it. And yeah, now I will have to test, of course, if the Amiga is fine, because if you look very closely down there, the contact of that capacitor here and 2 traces seem to be a little bit affected by the acid. But yeah, fixing that is also quite easy. In the worst case, I will just have to make new traces by just making the cables a lot longer on this. But everything else seems to be fine. So yeah, I'll just verify if those traces are okay. I've already checked the capacitor, everything is fine there. And yeah, well, the only thing to check is the 2 traces down there. They go to the expansion, of course, and into Gary. Yeah, it's definitely quite interesting, the A500 Plus. And you can see that Commodore were a bit lazy, because one of the workers just had to add a plus on the sticker. Well, all other stickers say a plus. Even the box says plus. So why not the sticker on the board? Weird. Okay, so well, it's time to test if this thing works. I've got it hooked up to my Commodore 1084S. And what I've done, I've also cleaned the floppy drive, just remove the cover so we can see the head moving. We've also hooked up the external floppy drive, so basically almost everything is hooked up to it. And the reason why I'm actually doing this is also to see if externally everything works. That's also why I've got two discs, the Spaceballs demo. So yeah, disk 2 of 2 will go into the external drive, and disk 1 of 2 will go into the internal drive. If I can get it in there. I'll just hook up the keyboard. Or I'll just without the keyboard right now and switch everything on. Widescreen, that looks good. It's loading. But it doesn't seem to recognize the disk. Just eject that. So it seems the floppy drive is okay. Or maybe this demo is not compatible with Kickstart 12, but it is, as we can see right now. So, well, at least it turns on. Let's see. Loading from the external drive, which is good. So a flop controller is fine. It's getting barely warm. I think that's enough now. Yeah, well, the Amiga is definitely operational, so the guy was probably right with everything. Because, as you've seen, everything works fine. So, I have now been using it for quite some time. And what I've already have done is I already have set the time and date and everything. So the Amiga has recognized the real-time clock module, so that's still working. So if I now load Workbench, it should tell me the time and date, since I have powered the machine off, kept it off for a couple of minutes, just testing. The capacitor would take about 5 minutes to fully charge. or less. Oh, and there it is. It's quite late right now. So that's definitely working. Only thing that I'm not quite sure about is how to reset it, because pressing the 2 A keys and Control doesn't work. The Amiga will not reset, I actually have to power it off. Wait at least 5 seconds, I'm actually following the manual. Oh, also by the way, what I completely forgot to show are these. This is a quick start guide for the Amiga 500 and the Amiga 500 Plus. Still haven't checked it, but it just shows everything of the Amiga, all the pinouts and everything, how to clean it, how to service it, to repair the mouse and everything, how to hook up joysticks. It's crazy, it's absolutely detailed, and I wish companies would still give manuals to their computers, not just stupid warranty cards that nobody cares about. And then the other one is just an introduction into the operating system. So I'll definitely read that once, because it's absolutely crazy. I got a ton of screenshots and everything. So yeah. I also now finally have a printer which I may be able to hook up to this thing. But the problem is I had to do a lot of repair on that printer, and I have no idea if that works, or if the Amiga will actually work with that printer. But now let's just switch everything back on. Got my floppy emulator here, and I'll try to find SuperFrog. There we go. Yeah, let's go right into the game. I'm using the Competition Pro joystick at the moment, still haven't used it. And of course the game has been cracked, like every single game on the Amiga. Just skip that. So the controller is definitely working because I'm currently using it. And here we go again. The only thing that really annoys me about the joysticks is that if you jump, you have to press up. I would wish it would be one of those two buttons, but no. Unfortunately not. Or I'll just make my own controller which will have that additional up button. Yeah, of course the spikes are not hurting me, and I'm already noticing that something is not fully working on the joystick. Because if I press left, it sometimes just doesn't work. I mean, on this it's necessary, because you have to go back sometimes. For example, right now. So I just have to clean up the contacts inside that joystick, and everything should just work fine. So yeah. Alright, the enter key will allow you to skip the level. So yeah. Unfortunately, it's not been the amount of work that I hoped it to be, since a lot of the 500 pluses died because of exactly that issue, that the battery leaked and destroyed the entire motherboard. But at least I can say I'm lucky that the damage isn't too big.